Alright, just got back from seeing The Colors Within in theaters. This is the new Naoko Yamada feature-length film. If you're not familiar with who that is, this is the same director as A Silent Voice, Listen the Bluebird, Heike Monogatari. She was a production manager, I believe her role was, for the first two seasons of Sound Euphonium. Did a lot of stuff with KyoAni before going over to Science Saru, and most recently I talked about her with her short film Garden of Remembrance, which I believe I described as a tone piece kind of thing when I talked about it on the seasonal wrap-up show, and that word also definitely applies to this film. This is probably her most of her feature films. This is easily her most tone piece work so far, in that it is very much focused more on the emotion that is being invoked and the vibe that she is trying to craft with this, rather than like being something particularly plot heavy. This is a slice of life film in the most literal meaning of the word. It is a slice of these three characters' lives. They meet, they have fun together, and then the story continues. I won't describe exactly how the film ends, but so on and so forth. And in that sense, it is extremely effective at doing that. I was I was hooked on, just getting into the headspace of these characters as they experience these teenage emotions and just growing up and finding other people that they just vibe with and having a very I guess personally enlightening experience would be the best way to describe it. They are just they play off each other really well, and they learn what they need to learn in order to sort of move past whatever roadblock is in their life at that given moment. And yeah, it's just sort of a very, I'm not going to say it's relaxed, because there are a lot of very, not tense emotions, but very, there's a sense of, there are senses of, unease and nervousness and confusion and just, not full-on anxiety, but, this sense of tension. A sense of tension, but it's not tense, if that makes any sense. Probably the best example of this is when one of the main characters, this is very early on in the film, one of the characters, Saki, if I recall her name, I'm terrible with names. Anyway, Saki drops out of, no, not Saki, Kimi, it's Kimi. I'm sorry, I'm a bit terrible with names for this stuff. Kimi drops out of school, and Totsuko, who is the main character of the bunch, just sort of has this sort of existential crisis almost, and you really, the direction and the cinematography and all of the artistic stuff works together to really convey this sense of loss of direction that Totsuko experiences, which, yeah, that's really the big star of this film, is the visual and audio end. Again, this is such an incredibly beautiful production, and just so, this is a real every frame a painting ass movie. Just from the, before I dive in deeper, I want to like mention by name some of the people who worked on this film. Aside from Naoko Yamada, I want to just highlight some of like the key like staff behind this. We have Yuko Kobari as the color designer. The color design in this movie is impeccable. These, whether it's the like incredibly gorgeous like scenery of like the sunset and the lighting, or just like the landscapes and all of that, the color design for that is incredible. Or the more abstract imagery of like our main character has this sort of I forget what the technical term for it is, but it's similar to like if you've heard of like how people associate different notes, musical notes with color. It's kind of like that, but a little bit more fantastical. She can see colors in the person, like the vibe that they put off, she views as a particular color. So in that sense, the color direction is really strong. Who else do I want to mention? The art director is Yuna Muroka. And Yoshimitsu Tomita is the director of photography. So, yeah, just in terms of like the raw aesthetic of this film, it is so incredibly captivating. I just loved looking at this film. Whether it's, like I mentioned, the incredible like still shots in terms of like the color design and the mise-en-scène and the just incredible artistic punch that it packs, or the character animation. That's one of the big Naoko Yamada trademarks, is a focus on character animation, the minute details of how the characters move. There's a few like short dancing cuts interspersed throughout this film that are so captivating to look at. The specific details of some of the how they play the instruments. Like at one point, like one of the guys plays a theremin, which I think I've only actually seen once before, and not in animation. Like in live action, I think I've only seen a theremin like once before. And just the incredible attention to detail in the way that he moves his hand to play the theremin was just so captivating. I will say there's a concert segment at the very end where some of in terms of timing the animation to the music, it does get a little shaky. It doesn't quite hit the gold bar, the gold standard for that in anime. If you're wondering what the gold standard for that is the concert scene in The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. So it doesn't quite hit that level, but it gets pretty damn close, especially because I would say the music itself is so incredibly powerful. Some of it's like very Wall of Sound-ish, and a lot of it has this very retro kind of feel to it. It feels much more like 80s-ish in terms of its like vibe and composition, which is something that I've noticed quite a bit with some of Yamada's more recent works, like with Modern Love Tokyo, the episode she did for that, and for Garden of Remembrance. She definitely is starting to show off her love for nostalgic technologies and nostalgic music, in a sense, and inserting that into her characters. That's something I always look forward to with her work nowadays, and it's pulled off very well here. And aside from the actual aside from the diegetic stuff, we have yet another Kensuke Ushio score. He's done pretty much all of Yamada's latest works, and he also did, I believe he also did Devilman Crybaby, so man's got range. Um, uh, Also, since a lot of the marketing seemed to dance around this fact, I should point out the setting for this is a Catholic school. It is an all-girls Catholic school. And faith definitely plays into a lot of the central themes of the work. For what small character arc, I shouldn't call them small, because for the characters, they are big character arcs. Like, these are important moments for these characters, but in terms of, like, the grandiosity of anime, these are very toned down, relatively small arcs. But for the arcs the faith does have a non-zero impact on them in terms of, like, this sense of, like, this feeling of guilt that they have over certain things that either they lie about or dance around in their lives, or things that they avoid. And we have this one, I think it's Sister Kyoko, I think that was her name, this younger sister character, sister as in, like, of the faith, who sort of guides these characters through the situations that they're in. And it was a very interesting use of the Catholic school setting, especially in terms of anime, because a lot of times in anime, or at least in manga in particular, sorry, excuse me, the Catholic school setting is very common for Yuri anime, like, especially, like, classical Yuri anime. That is, well, you could make a very strong argument that those themes pop up in this film, but they are never commented on in any very direct fashion, except for, like, a couple cuts in, like, the after credits scene, and just a few moments here and there throughout the film that I will leave to the imagination. It doesn't go as hard on that as something like Liz and the Bluebird, but it is there to interpret. I will say that much. But overall, I really enjoyed the vibes for this film. I really enjoyed the characters. We have the Totsuko, this sort of, ditzy is the wrong word, but very, like, kind of free-flowing kind of character. We have Kimi, whose character design is just entrancing beyond all reason, which makes some of Totsuko's actions very understandable in certain situations, and who's just sort of this sort of airy, kind of noble-ish or cool girl kind of vibe is just phenomenal. And then we have Rui, pretty much the only guy in the film. There's, like, one teacher that's a guy, and then you see parents every so often, but he's the only guy with a name, as far as I can remember. And he's got this sort of very he's a lot more sensitive than I was expecting for the role that he plays in this film. Very in touch with his emotions in some points, and yeah, I really like the cast for this. I love the way that they interact with each other and help each other grow and change as people. The sort of plot device of Totsuko, seeing the colors within people and how that reflects their character, was very interesting, and had a fun little payoff at the very end of the film. Yeah, this is a great, or not, it's a really solid film. Naoko Yamada never lets me down. I'm feeling probably like a strong 7 to a light 8 on this one. Again, there wasn't I was very captivated by this film, but there aren't a lot of moments in particular that I'm going to walk away being like, damn, I'm going to keep thinking about this forever. Or maybe I will. Who knows? Only time will tell on that. But definitely a film worth seeing, especially if you like films that create this very potent vibe and emotion. So, yeah, that's about all I have to say on The Colors Within. I don't know what the next new film that's coming out in theaters is. So guess I'll drop another review whenever. Until then, my name is Ember, and I'll see you next time.